Welcome back. So I was considering doing a career video today and going back and forth over who to maybe do one on. But Brian Boyle made it easy by announcing his retirement and that he is joining the NHL Network as an analyst. So, A, congratulations to him on a nice long career. And B, congratulations to him on transitioning to a new career when that one's done. That is something that some National Hockey Leaguers have struggled with in the past. It feels like that's not as prominent now as it was in, say, the 80s and 90s. But at any rate, it's always nice to see them being able to transition to something else afterwards. Now, Brian Boyle was part of the 2003 draft class that we talk about a lot. Maybe the best draft class in history. He was the number 26 pick by the LA Kings. He didn't make his debut until 2007-2008. Plays 8 games for the Kings, 4 goals, 1 assist, and 5 points. 2008-2009, still with the Kings, plays 28 games, 4 goals, 1 assist, 5 points. And it's not working out that well with the Kings. And so the New York Rangers come calling, and June 27th, he's traded to the Rangers in exchange for a 2010 third-round pick. Now, I debated about whether or not to wear a Tampa Bay or a New York Rangers jersey for this one, because he played a lot of playoff games for both teams, but I went with Tampa because I loved the 2015 Stanley Cup Final. But in 2009-2010, first full season in the NHL, 71 games played, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. One thing with Boyle, fourth liner, third liner through most of his career. I don't think he had much time, if any, as a top 6 player. But that's not the destiny of every player, right? And so he fit into his niche role well. He was pretty good on faceoffs. Had some excellent year in the faceoff circle as well. 2010-2011, this is kind of his career year. 82 games, 21 goals. It's the only time he scores 20 goals in his career. 14 assists, 35 points. In the playoffs, he makes his debut, has 5 games with the Rangers that year, no points. 2011-2012, 82 games, 11 goals, 15 assists, 26 points. So the offensive totals take a bit of a drop, but he's not there being paid for his offense anyways. 17 games in the playoffs, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. So the Rangers go on a nice long playoff run. He's part of that. 2012-2013, plays 38 games with the Rangers, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. In the playoffs, he adds 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in 11 games. So he has a lot of playoff games for somebody who's a third, fourth liner, and he ends up being on teams that go on nice long playoff runs. 2013-2014, 82 games played with the Rangers, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points. No playoff games that year, and he becomes a free agent. He signs with the Tampa Bay Lightning on July 1st of 2014. 82 games, plays the whole season that year, 15 goals, 9 assists, 24 points. So he does give you some punch in that bottom 6. In the playoffs, 25 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. Like I said, he was part of what was the most, to me, one of the most entertaining finals I've watched in 2015 between Chicago and Tampa. I've talked about my favorite Stanley Cup finals before, and there are some that will have the debate with me about whether or not I'm right, but again, it was one of my favorite finals to watch. And 2015-2016, there was a lot of talk about whether or not Tampa would get back there and win it the next time. They gave Chicago everything they could handle in 2015, but in 2015-2016, played 76 games, 13 goals, 7 assists, 20 points, so pretty consistent totals there. In the playoffs, he adds 5 goals in 17 playoff games. So again, Tampa Bay, nice long run for them. 2016-2017, Tampa Bay, some cap concerns and whatnot and all this fun stuff, looking to make moves at the deadline. Stop me if you've heard this before about the Tampa Bay Lightning. But he's played 54 games with Tampa, 13 goals, 9 assists, 24 points. And on February 27th, he is traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs for a 2017 second-round pick and Byron Froese. So that takes place. He ends up in Toronto. Toronto's looking for somebody who's got some experience. They're looking for somebody who can take face-offs and who has more playoff experience over the previous 6 seasons than Brian Boyle. Very, very few, if any, right? So he plays 21 games for the Leafs in a more diminished role than what he was playing in Tampa, just gets the 3 assists. In the playoffs, he adds 2 assists in 6 games as they lose against the Washington Capitals that year. So that's the first year that Toronto's in the playoffs, and Boyle was brought in to be a part of, this team that they were really hoping would score an upset over Washington. They don't, but they learned some lessons there. 2017-2018, he is signed July 1st by the New Jersey Devils. So he ends up in New Jersey, but before he makes his debut, we hear that he is fighting a form of leukemia, blood cancer, and it can be treated by medication. So he ends up fighting that off, and he ends up with the medication, ends up going into remission. Stayed on the medication afterwards. Ends up winning the Masterton that year. He played 69 games for New Jersey, 13 goals. So that's the third straight season of 13 goals. 10 assists, 23 points. In the playoffs, 5 games played, no points. He was part of the last New Jersey Devils team that made the Stanley Cup playoffs. And so it's quite the story. He also ended up playing in the All-Star game in 2018. Taylor Hall wasn't in, so they named Boyle as his replacement. And that's fun. I do enjoy seeing role players show up at the All-Star game. I don't really have a problem with it. As I've talked about when it comes to All-Star games, I don't take them as seriously as others. I don't get mad about the snubs because, again, who got snubbed from this year's All-Star game? Right, yeah, we don't, and last year and the year before, it's not a big deal. So 2018, 2019, still in New Jersey, but the team falls off quickly from where they were in 2018, right? So the 18-19 season, 47 games played, 13 goals, there's 13 again, 6 assists, 19 points. February 6th, he's traded to the Nashville Predators for a 2019 second-round pick. 26 games with Nashville, he gets 5 goals, no assists, so he ends up with 18 goals that year. That's not bad for a guy in your bottom 6, right? 3 games played in the playoffs, just the 2 assists. So, Brian Boyle, good role player and doing all right. Now, he doesn't get a contract in the NHL until October 20th, where he signs as a free agent with the Florida Panthers. He took his time. He did his due diligence when it came to deciding where he was going to play and when. 39 games played, 6 goals, 9 assists, 15 points that year. In the playoffs, he adds 1 goal in 4 games. So going through the pause, coming out, and playing the play-in round against the Islanders, the Florida Panthers lost that year. And then for 2020-2021, he sits out. He doesn't play that year. It's a good way to recover from any nagging injuries and make the decision on whether or not you want to play. And having that knowledge that maybe I'll just take my time. I think that's a smart move. I do. 2021-2022, he does play that year. October 12th, he signs as a free agent with the Penguins. And why wouldn't you? Right? So the Penguins looking for a depth forward here. And again, a guy who can take some faceoffs. He is older, but Pittsburgh likes their veteran players. This has been a discussion point. Some Penguin fans think they skew too old. There are definitely those in the analytics community that thinks they skew too old. But it's kind of a hallmark with them, right? So he plays 66 games with Pittsburgh, and his totals aren't bad. 11 goals, 10 assists, 21 points. He adds 2 assists in the playoffs in 6 games. And so that ended up being his final season. However, would any of us have been surprised if he had signed a tryout and ended up with a contract? Because with Pittsburgh, he signed a tryout and ended up with a contract. He is one of those guys who can do that. And so while he retires, and there will be those who say, well, it's about time and he's too old, I think if he'd wanted to come back and play, I think somebody would have signed him. For his face-off ability, for his ability to show that veteran leadership. He ends up with 871 games played, 141 goals, 111 assists, 252 points. In the playoffs, 124 games played, 16 goals, 17 assists, 33 points. Those are honestly pretty solid numbers for a guy who played in the bottom 6. Those are really, really solid numbers. So his career, he had 1,783 career hits. That's not bad. A lot of hits. He was a hitter. Could drop the gloves. There's definitely some discussion about the series between the Rangers and the Sens back in the day and all of that fun stuff. But at any rate, 2021, he also won a World Championship bronze with Team USA. So he wins himself a bronze at the World Championships. He has that. And that had to be fun for him playing for Team USA. And now he's going to be sitting behind a desk talking about the NHL. And I think it makes some sense to hire him because look how many teams he played with. He's gone through a lot of trades. And guys like, this journeyman career, I think they come out of it with more interesting stories. And they also cross paths and play and share stalls with more star players. And they get an idea for different coaching styles and all that. So I think he's going to bring a lot to the NHL Network. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.